Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Aaron Trevino, and we have an awesome guest today. We have Jonathan Kennedy from down in San Antonio. What's going on, Jonathan?
Man, doing great. Just in here, hustling. It's 6 p.m., so just finishing up my day in here. How have you been?
Been just fine. Can't complain.
Good.
Just trying to get it done one day at a time. But
Awesome.
yeah, Jonathan. So tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a real estate agent here in San Antonio. So I mostly just work with investors. I sell off-market properties, what most people know as wholesaling. So we're basically mostly selling distressed real estate to investors who are looking to basically do a flip, make some profit and fix up that house and, sell it for some type of profit. The other portion of it is I do have, some clients who buy kind of distressed properties, fix them up a little bit and rent them out to people to, profit and cash flow that way as well. So basically, man, a realtor, wholesaler, working with investors who are, looking to capitalize on our market right now.
Okay, very good. And are you originally from San Antonio?
I'm not, man. So I grew up in Austin. I lived there, up until about 18 years old. So part of my, motivation and part of, I guess what, kind of why I'm here in San Antonio is, man, I've seen how much the market's changed in Austin since I was younger. And I know that's already starting, but it's gonna really ramp up here in San Antonio even more. You have areas like east side of Austin that was, not really a, too nice of an area back when I was younger. And now, man, it's getting, gentrified. There's so many flips and rehabs going on. So I'm seeing those same trends, east side of San Antonio in different areas. So it really just kind of makes me excited for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. San Antonio is a tremendous place to be.
It is. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of got, I mean, it's obviously a big metro area, but it's kind of got that small town feeling at the same time.
It does. Yeah, it's a little quieter than Austin.
Yeah, definitely say that. So for you, growing up, did you have someone, telling you about real estate, or how did you end up getting into this sort of role?
Yeah, man. So it's always been something that's kind of been on my mind. So as a kid growing up, I went to a school in Austin. It was called a St. Andrew's Episcopal School, and there was some parents there that were in with tech companies and doctors, lawyers, but there was also some that did real estate. And a lot of the parents I noticed that did real estate just did really well, had very, very nice houses. And it just seemed kind of like a cool career. It seemed a little bit different than, some of the other, career paths out there. So there was a really successful realtor at my school. Her name was Roxanne Kaufman. And, she had kind of her story basically, she started, basically didn't have much, and through a number of years really built up into one of the premier realtors in Austin. And that always kind of stuck with me as I kind of got, into my 20s. I noticed a lot of, friends and, colleagues that I had known from when I was younger were in real estate. And it just looked fun. You're not always in the office. You're out going to showings, meeting investors, going to networking events. And it just, it appealed to me. My first few jobs here in San Antonio were mostly sales related. And I was pretty good at it. I would take the extra effort and do everything I can, really to connect with people and, show how my product is good. It's going to, bring value to that person. So, then I looked at real estate, it had those benefits of being out in the field, not just kind of always being by your computer taking calls. And that just, it really stuck out to me. Um, and also the commissions in real estate are bigger than most things out there. So those things really kind of drove me to where I am now.
Okay, fair enough. Well, it's neat that you saw that when you were younger. Did you have anyone, aside from, Roxanne, did you have anyone in your family, any friends who did real estate as well?
Honestly, growing up, one of my best friend's parents did it. Um, but yeah, really, it was mostly some of my friends' parents. My parents didn't really do real estate. They were more, they were engineers, so they mostly, they were doing kind of more high tech stuff. But yeah, really, that's the biggest influence was, some of my friends' parents.
Yeah, absolutely. So during college, did you kind of have real estate on your mind as well, or what was,
Not,
what was the transition from growing up in Austin to where you are now?
yeah, so not really. So I went to college for 1 year. I went to Texas Tech, and I was at that point I wanted to do advertising. So completely different field. I was just good at creating graphics and stuff on the computer. It was something I was pretty good at. But as I just got into college, and I know it happens with a lot of people, I kind of just looked at, I learned more about myself and more about these career paths. And obviously in real estate, you can use a little bit of that advertising, a little bit of that marketing. So I ended up moving to San Antonio. I went to, Alamo Colleges here for a number of years. And man, it just, honestly, the real estate, I really got serious about it a little bit after I was in college. So I want to say maybe around 24, 25, I really started thinking about it. And I want to say around 26 or so, I got my license or started taking classes. So it took a good 2 years before I actually jumped into it, of just researching and kind of getting set up. But yeah, I was interviewing different brokerages. I would go into, brokerages, speak with people, and just kind of see where I felt most comfortable. And I ended up, meeting it with New Western, meeting with Andy Ramirez. And, I kind of just knew at that point it was a good fit for me.
Absolutely. So what was it that kind of put you over the top? What made New Western stand out as opposed to other companies you talked to?
I think the biggest thing, man, a lot of realtors that are maybe starting with a traditional brokerage, man, if you close 12 sales your first year, a lot of times for most people, that's a big number. That's pretty good for your first year. And I just saw myself, one of the things regarding New Western is our properties close quicker. We're working mostly with cash buyers, hard money buyers that are used to closing in 2 or so weeks, very quick transactions. So my first year, I sold about, I started in February, mid-February. And in that time, up until, December 31st, or, basically New Year's, I sold around 32.5 properties. And just getting that experience, handling so many transactions, I felt it just gave me that experience in my first year that a lot of people, it might take them 2 to 3 years to get. So I really enjoyed the aspect that these properties close quick. I'm handling a lot of transactions per year. So I'm getting, up to speed on being a realtor and all of the everything that comes with the title, the open title phase, and, the transaction, and running into some of those headaches a lot more frequently than someone would who's maybe closing 12 their first year. So it was that's one of the reasons, just getting more experience a lot quicker.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I noticed you mentioned a few, getting a few of those headaches in there. What do you think, those common headaches would be when you're dealing with the transaction?
The biggest thing I think is when you run into some type of title issues, whether it be liens, judgments, waiting for payoffs to come in. So, the way we do our properties is we pick it up at a certain amount. And, there's been instances where we pick it up and everything should be covered, but maybe there isn't, a lien on there that we weren't really told of up front. So most of those headaches have to do with title issues. Most of them do end up getting solved, but every once in a while, there's one that's going to delay a closing significantly, to the point where I just tell my investors, hey, let's put this one on the back burner and focus on something else we can actually start the project on a little bit quicker.
Sure, understood. So when you say, you're dealing with investors, do you have, one investor, handling one deal at a time, or you have one investor that's looking in multiple deals, or kind of what's the interaction between you and your investors like?
Yeah, man. So I work with around 175 investors. Out of those, I'd say 25 are like my really serious people. These are people that have bought with me before, sometimes one property, sometimes two, three, four, five. And these are really the people I'm focusing on most. So yeah, I've had investors buy two pretty much in the same week. I've I've had people that, have title open on 3 or 4 properties. So it really depends. I'd say for the most part, per investor, they're usually focusing on one deal. They're rehabbing that one, selling it, then we're doing another one. But I do have a couple people that, they jumped into a bunch of properties at once
Okay.
within a small time period.
For sure. So, for someone just kind of just getting started out,
Yeah.
they know they have some cash on hand, they want to start investing.
Mhm.
What would the first step be, in working with you?
Yeah, man. So it's really simple. So what I like to do, I'll have a little phone conversation, just find out a little bit about that person, what their goals are with real estate, how they decided to, kind of pursue it. And from there, usually we do like an in-person meeting or, some kind of like this, we'll do like a Zoom chat and go over a little more detail, about their goals, about their strategies, what they're looking for, what type of profits they're trying to make. And I'll go over how to buy properties with us, some of the success of, my past investors, some lessons we've learned along the way, and just info about our company and how we work, just so people are really prepped. And, my goal by the end of that meeting is that they know everything they need to know to really start getting out to actual houses, and they know how to purchase with us as well. So once we do that meeting, they're pretty much, set to go, ramped up, and we can really start seeing houses at that point and looking for one that would be a good opportunity for them.
Absolutely. So
Mhm.
one big question that I'm sure people would have, at least in the big metro areas in Texas, we're getting a lot of out-of-state buyers. People want to come down here where it's nice and warm. Do you work with out-of-state investors? Are out-of-state investors required to physically go into the houses, or how would that work?
I do, man. So I've actually, my first sale was to an out-of-state investor. Never went to the house personally, but he did have what we call boots on the ground. So he had an agent and a contractor here that he trusts, he has a good relationship with. So basically, I met with his agent and his contractor at the property. They give him their opinion, and that's how we proceeded. I've been working with some other out-of-state buyers more recently, and some of them, there's 2 partners in particular. They've closed on about 3 properties in the last month and a half, and they came down here for a month from California just to look at deals, look at the properties I'd already sold them. But a lot of my investors, they really, really trust me, and I do everything I can if they're out of state to, I'll go in there and FaceTime them, show them the house. I'll take really, really good videos for them so they really have a good idea about houses. Um, and yeah, basically, I just use the technology, at my disposal, and do, try to make it as close as them actually being here in person as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that the virtual showings are really taking off as well.
Of course. Absolutely. Yeah, we have we use kind of Matterport, which is, kind of a 3D walkthrough of property. So that's something we've started using more. That's a huge advantage if someone is out of state or can't make the showing. Because I mean, you're pretty much, it's almost like you're there. You can take measurements. It's a very, very detailed 3D walkthrough. So that's been helpful as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you mentioned, obviously you're from Austin. You've kind of seen the growth on the east side in Austin, coming out
Mhm.
into San Antonio, seeing, different little pockets that are growing in San Antonio. What do you make of the future of San Antonio, and where do you think you're seeing most of the growth?
Yeah, so I think everyone who's in real estate and most people who aren't know San Antonio really is on the up and up. A lot of people are moving here from all over the country. Excellent, excellent job market. Nice weather. It's just, it just has really all the things people are looking for. Affordability. Um, so man, that's one thing I didn't really see until I got in real estate. But man, you go to the east side, you can tell some of these areas like Dignity, Far East Side, or the East Side Promise Zone, areas like that, Denver Heights. Man, you can tell a couple years back they weren't all that. You can really tell that there was some rough areas, and there still is. But man, just seeing that there's property selling in the 400s, the 350s, next to very like almost near tear down properties is really incredible. So I think it's going to take some time, but I do see the east side becoming very, very nice in the next 5 to 10 years. We're already seeing pretty high ARVs for flipped houses. But man, as that continues, that market's going to really just take off. That part of the city is really going to take off. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more in the 400s, the half a millions over the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, you can buy lots there for 80K now, sometimes more. So it's that's just one area of the city that's blowing up. Northeast as well. Northeast is, most of my investors who are looking in that area, they want to do Northwest, but the Northwest has gotten so high priced, deals have gotten tighter that they're starting to look more to the Northeast. So some areas are already doing really, really well. Some areas in Live Oak, Converse, Kirby, the Northeast is already kind of on the up and up, but there are some rougher areas. People are still kind of hesitant with, areas like Sunrise and things of that nature. But the Northeast is really, it's really getting up there. It's really somewhere people are focusing on. Typically the houses are a little bit newer. Plus you have that corridor on 35 where you're passing Cibolo and, you're getting into New Braunfels. So it's kind of a quick corridor into Austin as well. So I think that's also contributing a little bit to that growth in the Northeast. Obviously the Northwest, it's been hot for quite some time. So that's just going to keep appreciating, keep getting better. Also, I've noticed like the Southeast and South side, they're really having a lot of new properties, a lot of properties being flipped, and it's very, very affordable for the most part for people looking to get into a project down there. West side as well, there's still some rough pockets of the West side, but man, if you're looking for an affordable flip, maybe even affordable rental, depending on the street, the West side's a great area as well. That's super, super affordable. So, yeah, there's a number of areas. Seguin's another one. But yeah, a number of areas that are really just slowly appreciating and just have really, really great opportunities for investors out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
It almost seems like a lot of people would want to live Northeast San Antonio, if they need to commute to Austin,
Mm-hmm.
or better yet, not even commuting, considering we have, so much remote work going on right now.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah, it's
And
definitely more affordable than, comparable areas in Austin. So I get that. Mm-hmm.
yeah, without a doubt. And in terms of I know you kind of mentioned a few of the, the ARVs for, the West Side, South Side, Denver Heights, Dignowdy. But where do you see mostly, new construction? I know you mentioned a few lots for 80K, but is there a particular area where you see, room for growth in new construction builds?
Yeah. So a lot of, one thing that, and I'm kind of going, working on a property right now, and it's basically two houses on one lot. And it's, it's almost like, man, maybe you should just tear them down and make new ones. This is kind of near Lone Star. So it's kind of like South downtown. So man, anything close to downtown has a great opportunity for new builds. So most people have seen it a lot, when you're looking at East Side, there's some, people buy these lots. They're maybe like 0.08 or 0.1. They're on the smaller end. So what they're doing is building up. They may build some type of like three triplex or something, but they're building straight up. So you're seeing it a lot on the East Side, a lot South downtown. Not really seeing it too much in the Northeast. I mean, we do sell lots there. We do sell lots in the Northwest, but those homes are a little bit newer. So a lot of people are really looking at those homes and just, updating them, flipping them. There are exceptions, but since those are a little bit newer, typically the rehabs are a little bit easier. But really these pockets, parts of the West Side, South Side, where you have older properties, a lot of people are just, they're buying these houses for cheap, tearing them down and just rebuilding. So I think what's, really where you're seeing those new builds are areas in the city that are a little, the houses are a little bit older, 1950s and older than that, where it sometimes just makes sense versus doing this really elaborate rehab where you're having to pay attention to all these, different things that come with the home that's a little bit older versus just, tearing it down or buying a lot starting from scratch, which sometimes ends up being a lot easier and you're not going to have to deal with any surprises that you do dealing with older homes.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of seems like that's, the way that we're going, at least in terms of infill, inside 410. I'm not sure if you have deals there as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Within 410, man, it's, that's a pretty much wherever you look, it's a somewhat competitive market. So yeah, we really get properties everywhere, my brokerage. So we're selling, anywhere, around 50 to 60 per month, but yeah, we get them all over, so it's, everyone has their different preferences. I do have a lot of investors that try to stay within 410 and really love the, homes that are a little bit older, have some character and some charm to them that, when you go ahead and do that rehab, it's just a very unique property. It's not anything you're going to be seeing in a new build. It's just, it has that historic charm that's pretty hard to recreate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you mentioned obviously earlier about, the different ARVs, different neighborhoods where people can pick up properties. Where do you, and we talked a bit about new construction as well, but most of your customers or people that you see, what's their end game? Is it mostly to flip it for a profit or to keep it as a rental, or what are most of your customers doing?
So that's what I'd say is maybe 60 or so percent of the people I work with are mostly looking for a flip, and 40% or so are looking for rentals. So I have a lot of people that are, looking to do the BRRRR method. So, buy, repair, rent, refinance, and repeat. So I do have like a lot of people that are really, doing the BRRRR method, and it's a great, for rental buyers. I mean, it's really good. You're refining out, so you're taking that equity and you're able to buy another deal pretty quickly, as long as you got into a really good deal for that, first one, or, that previous deal. So a lot of people doing the BRRRR method on the rental side. One of my most successful investors, she's bought probably like 4 or 5 houses from me. They've all been BRRRR method houses, and some of her properties, the cash flows in the 500s, some a little bit more. She has one in the 700s. So BRRRR method is, definitely a good one. And yeah, my flip buyers, I have people really looking all over. Everyone's strategy is a little bit different, but yeah, I have a lot of people focusing on the Northeast. I have people that like the more kind of close to downtown properties, but also have a lot of investors that, they don't really care about the area. They're just looking for a certain profit margin. And that makes my job really, really easy. We're picking up houses with great margins, but if you're too picky about the area, sometimes it's going to take a little bit longer. But if you're open, it really can help me get you a really great property that'll meet your goals pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of off that, you mentioned a bit about, about your rock star client that you have that's doing X amount of deals. What's, if there's one thing you could tell your investors to maybe, help them make their transaction go a bit smoother, or any sort
Yeah.
of advice to your customers, what would you tell them?
To make it go a bit smoother. Man, I think it really just starts with the property. We're in a competitive industry, so properties sell quickly. So one thing I encourage people is, man, be prepared. I may call you I may hear about something very, very early in the morning at, 6:30, 7 a.m. Just kind of always be glued, because good opportunities, they're not going to always wait for you. Sometimes sometimes they come kind of out of the blue. So one thing I coach my people is just to be ready for it. You'll lose a great investment if you wait too long. So one thing I like to do, for every property, we require a down payment and we require a signed contract. So what I like to do is, I tell my people, hey, have that be able to wire very quickly, or be able to, or have a cashier's check on you. I can even hold it for some of my clients, which I do. Just so, hey, we find a great deal, we go out there, we love it. All we have to do is sign a contract on DocuSign, which literally can take as little as 2 to 3 minutes. It's very common in our line of work for someone to get beat out, which basically just means another investor bought that property before you did. So I like to prep my people on how to be quick, but also how to run your numbers efficiently so that you're 100% confident with the deal, but also you're not, once you run your numbers, you are ready to go like that versus having another investor who's a little bit quicker taking it from you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like that old adage they say, you don't lose an opportunity, it goes to someone else.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah. So, speed definitely does help, in doing things in a timely manner.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great way to put it, man. Most of my investors that I do a lot of business with, they understand that they're about, being urgent. They understand that these things are very time sensitive. I do have some investors that are a little bit slower. That's just how they prefer to do business. And for those investors, what I try to do is every once in a while, I'll hear about a property before it releases to all the agents in my brokerage. So when that happens, I'll do everything I can to give some of those investors that need a little bit more time a heads up so that, by the time everyone else knows about this house, they may already be ready to purchase it. Now they're kind of caught up. So that's something else I kind of focus on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you kind of looking forward to in the future? I know you mentioned how you're helping a lot of customers around the San Antonio area. What are some of your, maybe real estate goals that you have in the future?
Yeah, so kind of like we went over earlier, I'm close to starting to invest myself. So that's really obviously something that, me and my girlfriend are really focusing on right now. With my career and what I do. So I'm looking basically, I'm kind of going to go from only working with investors and selling the deals that come to us to actually, pretty soon here, I think being an acquisitions agent with the brokerage as well. And it's kind of like the equivalent of a listing agent with the residential brokerage. So I'm going to be, still working with, investors and buyers, but also going out and picking up houses now, working with sellers and realtors to get off market opportunities, for our network. So that's really my next goal. That's really something, I hope to be doing here pretty shortly. But going on, 5 years, I want to, obviously do well in those roles with our company, and eventually be a GM with the brokerage, which is somewhat like an equivalent of a team leader with the residential brokerage. I'll have, typically my own office, some agents that are working in the office, and you're kind of like at that point, kind of the supervisor, the manager. So that's really one of the roles that a lot of people are working towards with the brokerage, and it can be very, very lucrative. It's a great opportunity, but really just learning, doing all I can to advance and show that I have what it takes. So when I get to that level, I'm ready to go.
Beautiful, beautiful. Jonathan, is there anything else that you haven't said that you'd like to really just hit home?
Honestly, not really, man. I'll plug myself a little bit. If you're in San Antonio or even out of state looking to invest here, we have an excellent market. I've had so many of my investors that have overshot what our estimated ARVs are lately on the properties I've sold. So, man, people are making a lot of money right now. They're really doing good on a lot of their flips. So if you're, considering investing, or maybe you already are an investor, that's looking to do more in San Antonio, give me a call anytime. My number is 512-590-3970. Text me as well, and I really look forward to working with you guys. I have a good track record. I work with a lot of investors in the city, so definitely excited to take on any new business and even just answer questions if you have anything anything you're wondering about when it comes to the investment market here.
Absolutely. So we've got your phone number and your social media. Are you on social media?
I am. So yeah, if you look up Jonathan Kennedy New Western on Facebook, you should find me. It's probably a picture of my girlfriend and I. So yeah, feel free to connect with me on Facebook. Honestly, Facebook's the biggest social media platform I use. I barely use Instagram. I use LinkedIn a little bit, but man, Facebook's the best place to find me for sure.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to link that in the description, so people can know where to find you. Jonathan, this convo has been great. Appreciate the time. That was real insightful on the San Antonio market, and wishing you the best, man. Thanks.
Awesome. I appreciate the opportunity, Aaron. Absolutely, man. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
You too, man. Bye-bye.